Somewhere in this country this week, a woman in her 70s is standing over her kitchen bin with a brown envelope in her hand. The letter inside says it comes from His Majesty's Revenue and Customs. It mentions her state pension, and it uses 3 letters she has never seen together in her life: HRP. It asks her to go to a website, and she does the sensible thing, the thing her bank, her daughter, and this very channel have trained her to do with strange letters about money that arrive out of a clear blue sky. She drops it in the bin. I want you to hold that picture, because everything about it is reasonable, and everything about it is wrong. That letter is one of the very few government envelopes in circulation that can put thousands of pounds back into the pension of the person holding it. On the government's own figures, the average person it has proved right received £8,377. And the awful, almost comic truth we will spend the next 20 minutes on is this. The state finally wrote to the very women it had shortchanged for decades, and it wrote to them in a way that made half of them think it was a scam. If you raised children in the late 70s, the 80s, or the 90s, or you love somebody who did, do yourself one favour and stay to the end, because the fix takes 10 minutes and the queue for it is growing. Who exactly is this about? Mainly women now in their 60s, 70s, and 80s, though a number of men who stayed home with children are in it too, and the dividing line is wonderfully precise. If you first claimed child benefit before May of the year 2000, you are in the group that needs to check. If your first claim came after that date, the flaw we are about to discuss cannot touch you, and you can watch the rest purely on behalf of your older sister. Carers looked after by the same old scheme, foster parents among them, are in scope too, and I will come to them. If we are strangers, I am not a financial advisor, and nothing here is personal advice. I read government paperwork from end to end, the dry progress reports included, and then I tell you what it actually says, plainly, the way it should have been told to you in the first place. That last part is today's whole subject. If having somebody do that for you each week is useful, subscribe, because this story is not finished and I intend to follow it. 3 things are coming. The plain words explanation of a scheme called Home Responsibilities Protection, and why its whole job was to defend the pensions of people raising children. The government's own numbers on how badly the repair effort is going, which is where my patience runs out. And Doreen, who is 76, who binned her letter 2 years ago, and whose son fished the story back out of the news. Let me explain the scheme the way I wish someone had explained it 40 years ago. Your state pension is built from qualifying years of national insurance, stamped in while you work. Think of it as a family album, 1 page for every working year of your life, and when you retire, the pension service counts the pages. The obvious problem, seen clearly even in the 1970s, is that somebody has to raise the children, and the years spent doing that put no stamps in the album. So from 1978, the state made a promise called Home Responsibilities Protection. In plain words, if you were at home with a child under 16 and claiming child benefit, or caring for somebody sick or disabled, those years would protect your pension. The mechanics were clever in a homely way. Rather than stamping pages you had not worked, the scheme shortened the album you were asked to produce. Each protected year reduced the number of qualifying years you needed for a full pension. So a woman who spent a decade raising children was no longer measured against the same yardstick as a man who worked straight through. The scheme ran from 1978 until 2010, when a newer system of credits took over, and those newer credits, for the record, were logged correctly. The trouble lives almost entirely in the older years. For more than 30 years, that was the deal the state offered the mothers of this country. The years you gave are pages in the album too, and they will be counted. It was a decent promise, decently designed. The failure was clerical, and it was quiet. And for hundreds of thousands of women, it meant the pages were never glued in. Here is the flaw, and it turns on one small box on one old form. Before May of the year 2000, the child benefit claim form did not require your national insurance number. Plenty of mothers filled it in without one because the form let them, and the money arrived, and life went on. But the pension protection could only attach itself to a national insurance record it could find. No number on the form, no reliable link to your record, and in a share of those cases the protection was simply never written down. The child benefit was real, the children were real, the years at home were real. The album shows blank gaps where full pages should be. From May 2000, the number became mandatory, which is why anyone who first claimed after that date is safe, and why this whole affair has such a strangely exact cut-off. The state has known the consequence since it went digging in 2022. Pensions calculated from those incomplete records came out too small, some by pennies a week, some by a few pounds every single week, year after year, for as long as the pension has been paid. Hold that thought about how you would even find out, because the answer is a 10-minute check I will walk you through before the end, and you do not need to wait for any letter to do it. Now the numbers, and everyone in this chapter, comes from the government's own progress report, or the reporting around it. The department's planners estimated that around 194,000 people could be affected, and set aside over £1 billion to put it right. The letter-writing campaign began on the 8th of January 2024, and by the end of March last year, 370,018 letters had gone out, inviting people to check and apply. Out of all those letters, just under 53,000 people applied. The split inside that number tells its own story. The great majority of applications came from people already past pension age, women whose underpayment was not a future risk on a forecast, it was money already missing from years already lived. And the number of pensions actually corrected with money attached, by that date, 12,379, sharing about £104 million between them. Set £104 million against the billion plus put aside and you see the shape of it. Roughly 9/10 of the money budgeted to repay these women is still sitting exactly where it was, and the repair work is now expected to run into 2027 and beyond. The average repayment, I will say it again because it deserves saying twice, was £8,377. Readers' letters in the Money Press report cases far above that, into the tens of thousands for pensions underpaid across 15 years. This is the largest pile of money I have ever covered on this channel that is owed, admitted, budgeted for, and mostly unclaimed. So why did a mailing to 370,000 homes produce so few claims? The government reviewed its own campaign, and the review's findings are the part of this story that genuinely makes me cross. People did not understand the letters. They had never heard the term home responsibilities protection because nobody had used it in their hearing for 30 years. Many feared the letter was a scam, and can you blame them when every consumer program in the land, mine included, teaches that an unexpected letter about your pension and a website address is exactly how the thieves come at you. And the process leaned on online tools that a fair share of women in their 80s found hard going. Think about what that adds up to. The people most likely to be owed the most, the oldest mothers with the longest gaps, are precisely the people a digital-first repair scheme serves worst. A promise broken by paperwork is now being mended by paperwork, and the mending assumes everyone has broadband and patience. There is a bitter little irony folded in here as well. The child benefit those women collected is itself the proof that they were exactly where they said they were, raising exactly the children they said they were raising. The state paid it, week in and week out, from its own records. The evidence was never in doubt, it was the filing that failed, and the bill for that failure was quietly deducted from women's pensions for decades. The one mercy is that nothing about this has a closing date attached. The scheme is open, the forms are free, and a claim made this summer counts just as fully as one made the day the letters landed. Which brings me to a kitchen in Rotherham and a bin. Doreen is 76, 3 children through the 80s, a part-time job at the school kitchen once the youngest started, and these days a house shared with her eldest, Michael, which suits them both. In early 2024, a brown envelope arrived talking about her national insurance record and something called HRP, and inviting her to a website. Doreen has a rule for letters like that, learned the hard way after a neighbour lost £400 to a phone man in 2022. The rule is the bin, and the letter went in it, and she felt, quite rightly, careful and modern for doing so. The story came back round this spring because Michael read about the campaign and remembered the envelope. They sat down one Sunday with a pot of tea and her national insurance record on his laptop, and there it was, plain as anything. Gaps across the mid-80s, the exact years she was home with 3 children under 10 and child benefit arriving every week. What struck Michael was how ordinary the record looked either side of the hole. Full years through her time at the biscuit factory before the wedding. Full years once the school kitchen job began, and in between, where the hardest working stretch of her whole life should have been, a run of years the system had marked as if she had simply not existed. Doreen looked at the screen for a long moment and said, "Well, I know where I was." The claim form took them under half an hour online with her child benefit years to hand. Now they wait, because the queue is long. Advisors report that applications lodged around the new year are being told to expect a reply towards the end of this year. But here is the sentence that let Doreen stop worrying at night, and it is the government's own, word for word. Your state pension will increase or stay the same. It will not decrease. There is no downside. The check risks nothing, the claim risks nothing, and the worst possible outcome is discovering your album was complete all along. A good share of those who have checked found exactly that, and their evening was not wasted either, because now they know. So, the action, and this one is for this week, not for someday. Check your national insurance record for the years 1978 to 2010. You are looking for years marked as not full during stretches when you were at home with a child under 16 and getting child benefit. 3 ways in. Online, through your personal tax account or the state pension forecast on the government website, which shows the record year by year. By phone, on the National Insurance helpline, 0300 200 3500. Or, if forms and phones both defeat you, sit down with someone at Citizens Advice, or ring Age UK, whose advisors know this scheme well and will walk you through the record for nothing. If you find missing years, the application is called Home Responsibilities Protection, made online or by post on a form numbered CF411, and it is free, which is worth underlining twice. Do not let missing paperwork stop you either. The guidance lists documents that can help, an old child benefit award letter, even a bank statement showing the payments arriving, and the online service walks you through what it actually needs. So start the claim with whatever the shoebox in the wardrobe still holds and let the system do the tracing. Foster and kinship carers apply with a confirming letter from their local authority. Those who cared for somebody sick or disabled can apply too, with evidence of the benefit the person they cared for received. And 2 details from the official guidance that almost nobody mentions. A family can apply on behalf of a mother who has died, by post, through her personal representative, and the arrears are paid to her estate. There are daughters watching this who can still collect what their mothers were owed. And when arrears do come, the tax rules treat the money as belonging to the years it should have been paid, so a lump sum does not crash into a single year's tax bill the way people fear. The warning block cuts 2 ways today. If a letter about HRP or your national insurance record lands on your mat, do not bin it, check it instead. The government website keeps a page for confirming whether a letter claiming to be from HMRC is genuine, and the genuine article never asks for your bank details or card number in order to check a record. The real check is free, the real form is free, and the real money, if any is owed, arrives through your pension without an audition. The second edge of the warning. Wherever an average payout of £8,000 is reported in the papers, firms sprout offering to recover your money for a cut, sometimes a fat slice of everything you are owed. Every one of them is charging you for a form you can fill in free with a cup of tea in half an hour, or with a volunteer at Citizens Advice beside you. Nobody needs a middleman for this, and the middlemen know it, which is why they advertise so hard. Doreen's answer has not come yet, and I will not pretend to know what it will say. Perhaps her pages get glued back in, and a check follows with 2 decades of missing pennies in it. Perhaps her record turns out fuller than it looked. Either way, the album finally gets opened and counted properly, which is all she was ever owed, and the counting started because one son remembered one envelope. Be the Michael in somebody's story this week. Ring your mother, your sister, the neighbour who raised 4 on her own, and ask one question. Have you checked your national insurance record for the years the children were small? Send them this video if the explaining feels heavy. That is what it is for, and it may be worth £8,000 to somebody you have known for 40 years. If you want to hear how Doreen's claim ends and what the next progress report says about all that unclaimed money, subscribe and ring the bell. And tell me honestly in the comments, did one of these letters come to your house? And where is it now? Mind the post, count the years you gave, and never let anyone tell you raising children was not work. I will see you in the next one.